been talking about Bitcoin on the internet since, 2019, really started talking about Bitcoin on the internet, started doing meetups, started talking to more and more Bitcoiners in person. And 2019 is when I first kind of broke away from only watching YouTube content to really like engaging and talking with other Bitcoiners. And I think everything that leads up to what you teed up to talk about today is really this theme of growing up. I'm a way different person than I was from 2015 to 2019. Like, I'm a way different person. I have kids, I have houses, like I have a way different perspective of politics. Like I'm just a fully different person. And I don't think that's fully unique to me. Like I think there's like the years of stacking Bitcoin are starting to stack up. The years, like the Bitcoin is stacking up for everyone, but the years are stacking up for everyone. The mentalities are shifting. Personal finance strategies with Bitcoin are shifting. Bitcoiners used to pride themselves a lot on kind of being experts at game theory. And I think over the past couple years, we've watched some influencers kind of tie themselves in weird knots when it comes to the game theory of Bitcoin versus crypto and Bitcoin in government context. I think there's some people that haven't fully like updated kind of their talking points. And so, yeah, I've just been in a very big, like trying to say things that are different and refreshed and like start 2025 with just almost a blank slate again of like, we are where we are and understanding that like, okay, Bitcoin is better than fiat. Sweet. Like in a mathematical sense and in a philosophical sense, sweet. That's now like table stakes. We've covered that for years on the podcast and we've covered that for years. And we all work together to understand what that means. And we're still climbing over that all together right now. And now I'm really just like, I'm 33 years old. I live in California and we have 2 kids, 4 and 2. Like my wife and I both work and I'm just interested in how does the classic kind of suburbs, middle-aged, like 30s life, what does that look like when you have this understanding that the fiat money system is like not positive? It's just not positive. And what does that look like? And I'm trying to really, from a practical standpoint on like who we are as people and like actual personal finance strategies and just actual things I say on the internet, I'm trying to kind of stop thinking about Bitcoin in terms of sound bites and think about it in terms of just actually what should my friends do or what should I do actually in like a day-to-day sense. So that's honestly what I wake up like thinking about a lot right now.
So my wife and I were just talking about, again, and you kind of touched on this, which is, what are our savings goals? And everyone thinks in terms of dollars. But, for Bitcoiners, you're thinking in terms of sats, right? And I think this is something that's so important for people to reframe this. And again, you just kind of touched on this and you do such a great job of it, but just setting your stacking goals for, hey, everyone can go to pricedinbitcoin21.com and see, hey, life keeps getting cheaper. And the more you stack sats and the more you hodl. And that is the power of saving a finite money. And I think that's the thing that's people are really going to start learning these lessons in the next cycle. So I would love for you to just talk about maybe, some of those stacking goals. And you guys see a lot of data too, a lot of people that you talk to, people coming through the app, you hear a lot of stories. So I'd love for you to kind of talk about maybe some of your stacking goals and how you kind of think of that, you and your wife, and then what you're seeing as well with Fold.
Yeah, so that's what Fold fundamentally does is it helps you have your personal finances in both currencies. The 2 leading currencies in the world are Bitcoin and dollars. And Fold is the best setup app for you and your family to begin to manage it in both currencies because you have the option of how much to hold in each. So fundamentally, that's what like Fold helps you do. And then as you live your personal finances through the Fold app, you also get rewarded in Bitcoin, which is a better paying reward than other, versions of reward apps out there for consuming. And so that's fundamentally what the Fold app does. And yes, to the point of something I say on my channel a lot is like, just take it 0.01 at a time and setting stacking goals, setting savings goals correct measured in Bitcoin when you're first starting out is the very kind of like easiest thing to switch over in your mind because that's what helps you That's what helps you increase your Bitcoin stack. And then another kind of just like number that I put out there is like 0.21. Like if you're beginning right now, like starting from scratch today, having a goal of getting to 0.21 Bitcoin, I think is like a great goal to have, because when you break down the math, that puts you in the top 1% of the world. And I like that you've repeated the word influence a couple times, because influence is something like I think about a lot. And it's very, Bitcoin for me is like, yes, very much like an investment case, but it's also very much like a philosophical, like it's good for the world case. And I can't think of, there's nothing else in the world that is so good for the individual and so good for society all at the same time. And so having 0.21, getting in the top 1% of Bitcoin holders in the world is a great, like that's what punches your ticket to like have influence in the new world. And so that's a good goal. And you definitely like should be aligned with your partner on that, of like, what is your Bitcoin stacking goal measured in Bitcoin? And then I would say one other thing though, and this is to the people that have been, again, like been in it for a long time. I've been going, I just want to get personal and just like really try to rip the Band-Aid off on like different stuff. Okay. I've been going to a lot of like therapy lately and just like really thinking about like just mindset and really how is this next 2025, to 2030 going to be different? And I think some people might need to hear, and I know I needed to hear, that like you have to separate your identity from how much Bitcoin you have. Like, so yes, you should stack Bitcoin and you should measure your savings goals in Bitcoin. Absolutely correct. But it is a very weird concept to, when you go overboard with the like life is getting cheaper in Bitcoin stuff and you become that is your like primary driving metric, and you're kind of like sacrificing, or you're just like, sometimes what can happen is your other people in your life will see that as more important than the things that like are kind of goals that they have, right? And in and of itself, that's not good. Like in and of itself, that's not good. That's what tees it up for kind of Bitcoin to be a side hobby thing that you have and that you are doing. And it's always at odds with the goals that kind of other people in your family can have. So I think you have to be careful about like separating that.
One of the big things against Bitcoiners is, and I just had this fight at Christmas. I had this fight with a family member, and it was, well, you're never going to sell your Bitcoin. Like you just admitted earlier, like you're never going to sell it. And it's like, there's this missing nuance, and it is our fault at times, right? We talk in absolutes, Bitcoiners do. And you're trying to like make a point. And then unfortunately, like you said, the average person is kind of like, well, I don't get it. Like there's two monies, so it's, at what point does it make sense? And that's where I was going with the lending thing. Even at some point, like when the CAGR is down at 10% or 15 or 20%, it's not 50 or 60% anymore. I'm going to get back into, I'm going to buy apartment complexes. I'm going to buy the laundromat and the car wash and the Walgreens or whatever it might be. So I would love for you to unpack some of this more, like how you're thinking. Is this what you're alluding to in essence, right? Where it's like, you got to live your life. You got to do these things. We've been talking about it in absolutes. It's confusing the hell out of the market. They're just like, well, what do you mean? It's going to destroy the economy, deflation. You're not going to sell ever. And it's like, well, I'm going to, just not right now, maybe, like not the next 10 years. Like this is the S curve part. So I would love for you to kind of unpack this more, just a little bit more, how you think about, how I'm investing.
If you want the answer to that question right there, and you like that spicy clip, check it out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. But if you want the full interview in its entirety, all the spicy clips put together, and you're not going to want to miss it, believe me, then check that out here. Go on, we'll see you in there. Do it.